My name is Elia McLeaf. I'm the founder and the CEO of the company called Innowork. Innowork is a workforce intelligence platform, and I'm really excited to facilitate this fireside chat with Christian Primeau. Christian has over 2 decades of experience building businesses to the billion-dollar valuations and more. Chris worked for companies like Sun Microsystems, Bell, iWeb, Intranet, and now he's the CEO of the company called Syntax. Chris, welcome to the Fireside Chat.
Thank you for having me.
Let's dive into it right away. Can you tell us how you started in the infrastructure industry and what were maybe some of the early lessons you've learned when it comes to building teams and working with people?
Yeah, so again, thanks for having me, Ilya. Super happy to be here. I've always been very passionate about the conjuncture of business and technology. So I had the privilege of joining Sun Microsystem in the early 90s. And with that, participated in what was the build of the internet back then. So I guess the root of digital infrastructure as we know it today. So I grew through the company and learned a lot and had a very interesting career. Lots of findings and learnings there. So I think the big thing that I've learned through those years is performance is collective, and the notion of building a high performance team and creating value and creating growth into companies is really about the talent that you bring, having a super clear vision as to what you're trying to do and who you want to be when you grow up, and making sure that you can actually get the proper talent and trust the talent so that it can make decision as close to customer as possible and help grow the business and deliver the value that you want to create for all the constituents.
That's interesting. Let's talk about your journey at iWeb and Internet, because you led the iWeb to the acquisition by Internet, and it was a really sizable acquisition. What were some of the most important decisions you have made that really propelled into that successful acquisition? And if you could go back, if there's anything else you would have done differently?
There's always tons of things we would have done differently, but I think the internet or the iWeb days was really about if you go back in time, and it was a time where basically it was like web hosting to dedicated servers to the business of selling VMs and managing VMs and elements of that sort. So we had to transform ourselves as a business from really being technical excellence to customer excellence. So making that transition into what was becoming an industry where hyperscaler were taking a big share of the market, becoming very dominant. And as a regional player, smaller player, we really had to figure out our differentiation and how we would actually be relevant into that marketplace for customers. So customer excellence was one of the key thing that we did, and we set ourselves to make sure that we can actually be very consistent in how we're performing services and how delivering value for customer throughout. And with that, created growth, created a market segment for us, being a dominant in this market segment, and creating attention to at the time company more on the telco side that wanted to actually grow into the managed services space, and that's how we got picked up by Internet and created a lot of value for our shareholders, and ultimately created a lot of value for Internet as well.
In fact, I have a little anecdote how Chris and I met. It was during his iWeb times. I was on stage. I don't know if any of you guys been to hosting con events. It's back in the day. I used to speak at those events, and after one of the presentations that I had, a gentleman comes up to me, gives me his business card, and says, "You have to work for me." That's pretty much everything. And it was Christian at the time. And I'm like, who is this person? It was unusual, but then we ended up connecting on LinkedIn later on, and I flew to Montreal. I remember it was September time, 2012, and it was the most beautiful time. If you guys ever been to Montreal, it's like the weather is fantastic. He took me to the old Montreal, and he said, "There's no snow and no churn in Montreal. You have to join my team and move." I ended up making that move in February 2013. and only to realize it's the coldest weather I've ever experienced in my life. Long story short, it was a fantastic journey for me. I joined his team, and was part of that acquisition of iWeb to Internap, and then later I joined Internap as well. And that leads me to a question, Chris. How do you?
Before the next question, just to add, it's all true story, and I think this is, I think, a key demonstration to, going through those conferences. You always have your head spinning. I mean, I think this week is an amazing week to get our head spinning around AI and everything was going on. I was on the Oracle conference earlier this week, but when you have the right strategy, you have to be aggressive in making sure that you pick up the best talent in the industry. And I remember the conference that you gave was around customer satisfaction and the importance of customer centricity in the business, and that was our strategy. So that's why it was key for us to recruit the best of the best.
Well, how do you select talent? Like, what's important for you when it comes to your direct reports? How do you pick the talent, and how do you make sure that they meet your expectations? And what are some of the elements that you kind of incorporate, make sure that the performance at the max? Because Chris was one of the, I would say, the best boss I would say I've worked with, and he was able to unlock my productivity and my engagement to the max. Whatever he does, could you share some of those tips and maybe some of the work that you do with your executive team?
So I think, I mean, all of us here, I'm sure, in the room have had to hire and develop key talent in throughout their career. But I think for me, the fundamental thing, especially in an era of AI, in an era of massive transformation into our industry, the first and foremost, I'm looking for curiosity. So having a leader that is very curious, that is very intrigued at what's going on, that understands, the potential move and the potential changes that will be driven by those new technology and what's important there, and then having someone that can actually have that curiosity, but that get things done. So the execution aspect of it is, to me, is extremely important, and then it's a matter of giving clear direction to what I said earlier, making sure that they understand where we're going, what we're trying to do as a business, and then trust them in doing the right thing, and constantly being there to support them. I think is key to what worked for me and what worked for us, and even at Syntax. If you look at what we've done, and we'll talk about the M&A aspect of Syntax, but I think a key aspect of it is the identity and the culture that we set into the company, where fundamentally our tagline is boutique at scale. So we want to remain very boutique in how we approach and continue scaling the business. So we went from about 100 employees in 208 in 2018 to close to 3,000 people right now, and very fast growth, both organic and through M&A. And this identity and mindset that we create is what's propelling how we're actually growing and making sure that everybody is on the same trajectory, on the same path. Clear strategy. We publish every year. We publish a white paper, which is basically the refresh of our strategy, making sure that every single employee in the company understand what we're trying to do and can actually support day-to-day decision and day-to-day commitment to what we're doing. So for me and for us, I mean, that's what really works, in making sure that we have full alignment from top to bottom, and being very focused on what we're trying to execute.
I mean, Syntax trajectory had been really impressive. The growth that you've accelerated there from 100 employees to 3,000 and just fantastic. Now, what were the most pivotal bets that you have made when it comes to Syntax, and how did you measure the success or the ROI of those bets?
So I think, again, similar to what many of you do day in, day out, right? First and foremost, we established the ecosystem that we wanted to compete in. And second of it was the identity and differentiation that we wanted to build. And we made sure that, we had like I said, a clear strategy, and that we were also having the proper capital structure, or the proper investor backing us up into the strategy that we had. We knew that M&A was going to be a very important tool for us. So, we're a PE-backed company. We're now at the second cycle of PE investment. In both cases, Novacap, who's our primary investor into the company, remained the key investor, but we went into a continuous vehicle in 2021. So leveraging M&A as a core tool, but also making sure that we're very truthful through our M&A strategy, that we don't fall into being opportunistic in how we do M&A, but very surgical in acquiring for capabilities and not acquiring for cost savings or falling off the strategy because we felt in love with maybe an asset that we didn't think about or things like that. But very, very surgical to what we do. And with that, we managed to, make very strategic acquisition, about one a year. So we did 7 acquisitions in 7 years. And we've been very, very surgical in how we're approaching it, and combine that with organic growth and sustaining organic growth, retaining the identity of the company, and also making sure that, some of the asset that we looked at, that we didn't do the deal because we felt that we would potentially destroy value before creating value. And, we're in the value creation business. I mean, being PE back, we need to make sure we create value first for our customer, for our employees, and then for shareholder for sure. But the worst thing that you can do, leveraging M&A tool, is to destroy value and then trying to back into the valuation that you bought things at. So value creation is at the heart of everything that we're doing. Social fit and culture fit of the acquisition that we do, and the fit to the strategy has been super, super important for us.
And how do you sustain the culture going through such rapid growth and so many acquisitions? How did you manage to do that?
So first and foremost, you have to believe in it yourself. You have to make sure that you can actually, live it, communicate it. And it's also something that we do in every asset that we're looking into, every M&A opportunity that we look into. We do what we called, a culture fit analysis, and making sure that we understand if we believe that the pool of talent and individual into the company that we're looking at joining forces with will fit into who we are and how we want to execute and how we want to continue. And there's 2 key acquisition over the last 8 years that we could have done that we elected not to do because we thought that the fit was not there. So believing in it, protecting it, and then being very surgical and in executing against it has been how we've approached it.
And managed services territory is really people intensive, resource intensive, and skill intensive. If you were building a managed services company from scratch today, where would you play primarily? What skills would you kind of focus on mainly?
I think from a capability standpoint, if you start with that, it's a data-centric organization. I think in the age of AI, in the age of everything that's going on, is extremely, extremely important. You've touched on skills. You're obviously expert in skill management. I'm a huge believer in skills assessment and skills management. I mean, we see it in M&A. We see it when we're hiring. I mean, the notion of being able to clearly identify the skill set that you have, not only at the capability level, at the department level, or the overall company level, but at individual level, making sure that you understand the skill set that is there, understand the gap that there is to where the job is today, but also where the job is going tomorrow, because we're in an industry, the jobs are changing extremely, extremely fast. Being able to identify the gap, making sure that you address the right skill to the right gap, or to the right task. And also part of it also is taking care of career ambition and recognizing that good talent have ambition and have the curiosity that I mentioned earlier on, and they want to make sure they can actually accomplish those skills and continue growing these skills, and leveraging skills management, skill assessment, and overall skills management into what I call the ultimate retention tool, and probably the cheapest retention tool that you can have, in making sure that people feel that they can have a good career and progressing into an industry that is highly competitive, building core competency that is good for them at your company, but it's good for them in general, creating equity value for who they are in the industry.
And really appreciate your support throughout the years. Chris and Syntax actually were one of our very early clients, and it's definitely awesome to see the industry veterans like yourself seeing the value in a skill-based approach to workforce intelligence and workforce management. Um, Now, if we look at the industry as a whole, there's so much going on right now. From your perspective, what are the biggest trends that the leaders should be paying attention to now? What's the most important thing right now?
Well, I think we've heard that term maybe once or twice today, AI, right? So obviously, it's not only AI as a business and the opportunity that AI creates from a business standpoint, but it's also how AI is changing everything that's going on into the organization. And again, in a service industry, which we are, recognizing that we also have to enable our culture from an AI standpoint and making sure that we can actually develop the capability, develop the skill set, the affinity of our employee to actually master that tool and develop that. So we initiated a program about 2 months ago now at Syntax, where we're training every of our 3,000 employees on level 1 and level 2 AI development, making sure that everybody has that skill set, everybody has the mindset. We made available something called the Gen AI Studio, where we're inviting employees to actually go develop agents. We now have over 700 agents in the company that have been developed by the employees.
It's amazing.
For which right now we're actually chasing inventory of the agents, because we took an approach where instead of being like top down and creating kind of a rigid framework around that, we really went through like mass innovation and let the employee develop and create what they feel they need. And now we're at the point where we created hackathons. So we created a hackathon with price and elements of that sort. So we're giving like $5,000 for the best idea and elements like that. And now we have probably around 250 to 300 agents that are actually percolating up into the company as agents that are really transforming an area of our business. And now that's where we're actually increasing investment
Talking about
and go on our,
right?
yeah.
That's fantastic. So talking about Syntax and the next couple of years, how do you see the company evolve? What's the plans for the future for Syntax?
I mean, for us, we're in the business of orchestrating complexity. And I think, if you think about the IT industry and where it's going, the portfolio of application of our customer continue being very, very difficult or very complex. The multi-cloud is a definite reality based on, what they're hosting themselves, what they want to host with us, what we're managing for them on a hyperscaler element like that. So the complexity level is definitely there. So we will continue being application-centric, data-centric for our customer and really helping them unleashing the value of their data and application portfolio.
I'd like to open the floor for the Q&A. If you guys have any questions, please ask away. If not, I have like a lightning round of a couple questions I'll ask Chris myself. We have a couple minutes left. Does the audience, anybody have questions? If you do, just raise your hand. See if there was one.
I had two questions, one not related to data centers and one related to data centers. The first one is the runaway train danger of this innovation, because once you get that many agents, and they can all start cross-connecting into each other and creating an assistant that starts to learn, and then next thing you know, one of them gets into the repo of your developers and it's game over. It's chaotic, and I've seen it happen. They can wipe out a lot of big files and things like that. So I guess it's a balance between innovation and guardrails, right?
So it's a great question, and the approach that we took is we first started with the proper governance. We first started with the right guardrails and the tools that we put in the hands of our employees. We made sure that we had data anonymization. We made sure that we had control on data access and elements of that sort. So they are free to create agent in the realm of the kingdom, if you'd like, that they have authority on. So that's how we're actually, I would say, quote unquote, controlling what could happen around that. But it's a definite risk that we continue managing. But we believe that the rewards are higher than the downfall of that. And as we grow, as we evolve, as we mature up around that model, then we will be in a position to be a little more systematic and bring back a little more governance around those. But for now, creating the right guardrails and then letting the team innovate.
I'll ask my second one quickly, and then I'll give you the
I think
mic.
we have another question there.
Well, yeah, just the impact that you're seeing on all of these changes that you've made at Syntax. How does this eventually roll down to the data center industry, the facilities guys? What are you seeing as the biggest impactors potentially?
You mean the biggest impact from a data center standpoint?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about when I joined Syntax about 8 years ago, we had about 90% of our business that was coming from data center that we either operated or that we had co-locations into. So we're still running 8 data centers around the world. If you think about the business today, we're close to, we're over 600 million in revenue right now. And we now have probably less than 100 million now related to, revenue directly into our data center. So we see the mix, we see the shift as to the role that we're playing into the ecosystem. And what we've seen as a service company, we've seen ourselves being pushed up the stack, but being very happy in going up the stack and creating more and more value. That's why we, some of the acquisition that we did were highly focused on professional services capability on specific industries so that we can have CFO and CEO conversation and then get to the CIO with a total different approach and a total different conversation than if we would have been one of many wanted to help them manage technical infrastructure as an example. So we do see the evolution of the value chain, if you'd like, as to where we play in that value chain. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
What strategies do you use or programs that you have?
So the sourcing of new talent is obviously a continuous battle in our industry, both on the technical side as well as on the functional side. Because again, we do a lot of SAP implementation as well and Oracle implementation. So we have like industry expert and financial services experts and elements of that sort. So recruitment for us is first and foremost making sure that we have very high employee engagement and employee satisfaction. From an NPS standpoint, we're at around 46 from employee net promoter score. If you look at our industry, the average is probably around 35. So we're very high into this. So that helps a lot. We have a lot of word of mouth. We've also identified strategic markets around the world, and we're constantly surveying strategic markets. For example, we have employee in Slovakia, we have employee in Mexico. We see, a tendency in Mexico to be too aggressive and too high pressure from a recruitment standpoint. So we're pivoting to Argentina as another area where we want to grow. So being strategic in the market that we're going, being strategic also from the word of mouth of employees, and then is about a programmatic approach. So for example, at a time where many companies are forcing employees to go back to the office, we went totally the other way around. So we're basically offering employees to have the ability to work where they want to work from. And we even went as far as creating a program called Global Tourism, where basically we're inviting employees to work in a location of their choice, as long as they cut a deal with their direct manager to make sure that their job could be done. And we're leveraging the fact that we have about 20 offices around the world. So employees can actually go work for 3 or 4 months as long as they stay below the clip of visas and, taxation issue and things like that. But they can actually go and work into a very interesting location. So we saw, for example, a lot of our employees in the U.S. are originating from India. So we saw that community and our ability to recruit that talent in the U.S. Extremely, extremely well, because with this program, they can actually go cater for parents or elderly parents into India, something that is very hard to do in normal companies. So we're very strategic in how we attract talent through our programs and how we retain the talent and continue growing the talent around those programs.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you.
Chris, congratulations with all of the growth. And I would say if I didn't run my own business right now, I would most likely come and work at Syntax.
Yeah, I'd hire you in a New York minute.
Before we wrap up, I had a couple lightning questions for Chris I think everybody would enjoy. One bad habit leaders tolerate that silently destroys performance.
Lack of decision,
Okay.
slow decisions.
What one piece of advice you'd give yourself, younger self, going back?
Trust yourself more.
Okay.
Be more bullish.
Is there a book or a podcast that you think every leader should check out right now?
Good question. Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. What hobby or interest you have that people might be really surprised to guess? And judging by your broken finger, I think there's there's a hobby, maybe.
This is, like I said, we're PE back. This is one bad quarter in the PE world. That's accountability for you. But kidding aside, I'm a dive master, so I do a lot of diving. I love, the silence of being under the ocean. So
I actually didn't know that about you.
yeah, we'll see.
It's awesome. All right. Thank you so much for being here, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.